Computer. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start.
It's recording here.
Yes. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. This is Angelique from the Superwomen Babes Club. And today I'm excited to interview Theresa Fowler on her new up-and-coming book, which is going to be published in May. And Theresa is going to be interviewed by me about some of the interesting viewpoints she's sharing with us, which are all about self-love. And so Theresa, please say hello and introduce yourself. What is your background?
Hello, I'm Theresa Fowler. I'm an author, self-love mentor, energy worker. I do reflexology, reiki, and EFT. And basically, I help to mentor female heart-centered entrepreneurs to love themselves more so that they serve themselves and their clients better. And my background, I was a journalist for 25 years, so long before I started writing books. And I had a big breakdown in my life when my father died. Leading up to this, my health had been atrocious, and I was chronically ill and obese. And when my father died, coming up to 10 years ago now, I needed to get healthy in order to live my life. So I started getting healthy, ended up losing 100 pounds, got into personal training. I've done lots of stuff in the whole personal development, health and wellness, and working on my mindset, especially in the past 4 years or so. And yeah, that's how I've got here. So I have a bag of tricks to use holistically to help people get healthy and happy.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the title of your book, which is Hi, Ali, Stephanie, Sarah, and Dar. Can you tell us a little bit about the title of the book, which is the interesting title, From Breakdown to Breakthrough to Self-Love?
Yeah.
What does
it's breakdowns to breakthroughs, the 7 secrets you need to know to love yourself.
Yeah. What is the correlation? Please tell us.
Right. Well, breakdowns to breakthroughs. I've had a lot of breakdowns in my life, but I came to realize that they always lead to breakthroughs, no matter how big or small. So if you have a little mini breakdown, then it leads to a little mini breakthrough. If you have a huge breakdown in your life, say a marriage breaking up, then in the end, that will lead to a huge breakthrough in your life. If you choose to not resist the vibration that the universe is giving you, because everything is energy. And as Tesla said, think of the universe in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, and everything is a vibration. So if it's a big breakdown, it's going to be a big breakthrough. If it's going to be a little breakdown, it's a little breakthrough. But they happen throughout our lives all the time.
So can you explain this to us because I could actually give a whole lecture about vibration and how we are at cause of events and people in our lives, and especially if we are very unloving to ourselves, how we are actually attracting very unloving, unhealthy situations into our lives, self-sabotaging situations, etc. But for people, I just want to make sure that we get your understanding of breakdowns and how they are actually the universe, showing us, what we need to learn,
Yeah, well, basically, any situation that causes you to feel, say, not good enough, or feel like, you have to get by having a drink every night to relax, or if you're constantly smoking, or you don't eat well, any situation that causes you not to feel good, it means that on the other side of it there is a way to feel good, and it's that vibration thing again. The universe only wants what's good for us, and seeing as it's an energetic being. The universe is one energetic consciousness, and we're just all parts of that. And being nature, we are parts of nature. The good feeling that everybody is searching for on the outside, we're kind of taught by the media to, think of Valentine's Day, for instance. Valentine's Day, it's all like hearts and flowers, buy cuddly toys for everybody who you love. And those people who don't have a love are made to feel like, oh, we're programmed to believe that love comes from the outside. Mm-hmm. But that's not the case. Love comes from the inside. And when we realize that we have that choice, it makes it very powerful for us to keep with the vibration that makes us feel better. Because in terms of frequency and vibration, love and fear are the complete opposites in the universe.
Yeah. So could you then almost say that breakdowns are always caused by a lack of love for ourselves?
Yes, I'd say that. Absolutely. Because there'll be something that you need to learn to teach you about loving yourself a bit more to get to the breakthrough. Even when we first go to school, we are kind of conditioned to be made to feel not good enough, because, you go to school and there's immediately we look for the smartest person in the class, or we look for the strongest athlete, and everybody else kind of ends up feeling not good enough. And so being on that vibration of feeling not good enough, then we will attract other things on that vibration to confirm that we're not good enough in our heads.
Yeah. No, the whole society that we live in is definitely, there's a lot of number one, number two, number three types of things going on, where we almost are set up for competition with each other based on some kind of measurement of some specific skill set, right? Or some specific type of brilliance. And then if you actually don't attain those prizes or rewards, we somehow make that to mean something about ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. When in the end, it doesn't really mean that, but we believe that. And once we accept our beliefs, it's kind of hard to then change that belief about ourselves.
So let's go back to break down, because I really, really want people to understand this, and because I think that is where your book is quite different from a lot of other books. So let's say that you don't know that there's lack of self-love. You just think you're doing your thing, and you have a huge breakdown, and this person has never even pondered the concept of self-love or not loving themselves. They might even think that they love themselves a lot. For instance, they could be extremely defensive, or they could be very much blaming other people, so they might come from this very superior or defensive standpoint of view, where they're very much thinking, I have to walk away from the situation because you are not making me feel this, or this, I want more in life and you're not giving this to me. These people are coming from a getting standpoint. They're coming from a I need you to give this to me type of standpoint. What is going on there? They might think that they love themselves enough to walk away, but then, they're almost like putting a plaster on the big wound or something, which is not going to be healed by the plaster of blaming other people.
Exactly.
Self-love, etc. So what's going on there?
Yeah, basically, whenever you're looking for the outside for confirmation that you're okay, that means there's not enough self-love there. Because, the universe doesn't worry about whether you have confirmation from other people. And that shouldn't, basically, when you love yourself, you don't need confirmation from other people, because you trust in yourself enough to believe that everything that you are is fine. Basically that's it. And like self-sabotaging behavior, that would be a person who doesn't love themselves enough. If you're going out and getting drunk all the time and you see that is having fun. Yes, fun's great, but if it's a thing that you do to distract yourself from whatever else is going on in your life, then that's kind of not giving love to yourself. If you comfort eat, again, it might feel good having that chocolate bar, but if you've been beating yourself up the next day going, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that chocolate bar, beating yourself up is another form of self-sabotage, which means you don't love yourself enough. You know, and that's not to say that I don't do self-sabotaging behaviors every now and then. You know, every now and then I procrastinate because I think, oh, well, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And then I check in with myself because I go, oh, okay, I'm not loving myself enough. What do we need to do? So, you know, we're having a human experience. So things are always going to come up to challenge. But yeah, it's a lot easier when you love yourself, because then when the challenges come, you go, all right, okay, what lesson is this teaching me? Instead of going, oh, this thing happened to me, life is crap, blah, blah, blah.
People are crap.
People are crap. Yeah, exactly. I used to believe people are crap.
Relationships are crap.
Yeah, I used to believe that. I used to think, oh, the world's against me, everything's shit. Yeah, I used to think that. I'm trying to track back about my very difficult, long-winded question about breaking down. So I want the viewers to understand that when there is a so-called breakdown, you might not even know there's a breakdown, because you might be covering it up with a lot of escapism. For instance, you could just get an affair, or you could just end up dating another man or another woman that is basically just as abusive, like even if it's emotionally, or just as abandoning. Or you could end up going into another job that is really, you know, basically betraying yourself, or another hobby, like for instance going to the gym, or, you know, I don't know, or gambling, or workaholism, shopaholism, I don't know what it is. So basically, even if there's a breakdown, actually you could actually have a lot of mechanisms to avoid it, you distract yourself from it. Absolutely.
And then
but the thing is,
the other thing is you do feel the breakdown, and then those people feel more victimized, and they have complete different coping strategies. Because I really want people to understand that, you know, breakdown should be seen in a bigger way, because some people might never experience that they're having a breakdown, but they still might be avoiding a lot of lessons that spirit or their higher self is trying to teach them.
Absolutely. But, you know, people cope with those breakdowns in different ways, and they cope with distractions in different ways. You know, even, for instance, people who take antidepressants because they don't want to feel how bad they feel. You know, and this is a big thing as well. As a reflexologist, I'd say probably 95% of the clients that I see don't realize that they're thinking in their head constantly in their head, and all this stuff going round and round. You know, those 80,000 thoughts we have in a day, like 70% of them are negative self-talk, and they're not feeling what's going on in the entire rest of their body, because our bodies.
And in your book, you're talking about why we don't know how to feel, because our education system is basically created to help us live from the head, to basically like certain the five senses, certain skills that we have, certain types of intelligence. But it definitely there's actually almost no education system that we actually know about that is, unless you bring them to a different type of school where you're actually connecting with the intelligence of the heart, or the intelligence of our intuition, or all those things that could actually give us much more of a bigger understanding of what is actually happening in a situation. Why are we reacting this way? Why is somebody being mean to us? Why is our mommy or daddy, you know, being drunk every night? Or, you know, all of those things. So yeah, I think somebody here on Facebook, Ali, said, you know, how about spiritual bypassing? What do spiritual people do if they don't want to break down? What is their escape mechanism?
Interesting. I don't think there is any escape, because like I said before, hi Ali, by the way. Like I said before, we are human beings on this earth having a human experience. And the duality of that experience, just like there's a duality in everything, there's day and night, there's male and female. The duality of that experience is that we have to experience these breakdowns in order to get to the breakthrough. But when we are aware of that, when we're having a breakdown and we're in it and we're not feeling very good, we have a knowing in ourselves that there is a breakthrough on the way. And so we can look at it with excitement. Whereas somebody who's just kind of going along on an automatic pilot, but like experiencing these like, they're not aware. So they're just going to keep attracting those experiences until hopefully they will become aware.
The way that I understand spiritual bypassing, because when I was training as an energy healer, we discussed spiritual bypassing, and that is, you know, spiritual bypassing I really understood when I started reading the book of Debbie Ford, which is called The Shadow of the Light Workers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Debbie Ford is of course not with us anymore. She's transitioned, but that was a very enlightening book about how the light workers are always looking for the light, but they end up never looking into the shadows. So they're the ones that have a lot of very more savvy types of ways of evading, you know, the shadow, the dark night of the soul, or the dark night of the ego, whatever you want to call it. And but what I now know from my 46 years of being in this body and this earth is that definitely you can be very intelligent in doing spiritual bypasses or feeling happy all the time. But I think we cannot evade the work of working with the programmings in our subconscious, which is what your book is also about, which is why are we wired this way? What is the subconscious? And how does the subconscious relate to vibration and what then the universe and how that creates what we think is our reality, right?
Right. Well, what I believe, and you're completely right there with the spiritual bypassing, because we can do all that stuff here, but it's the feeling.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, I understood self-love as a concept. Once I started doing all this personal development work, I was like, okay, having lived in self-hatred for decades and then starting to like myself when I started losing the weight, when I started exercising and eating healthy, I was like, oh, okay. And I went through my own dark night of the soul just before I started writing this book, having realized, because again, I was like, okay, I'm spiritual, doing all this stuff, feeling nice in my head, but not feeling the body stuff. And there came a point where I had to feel the body stuff. The universe basically threw it in my face, and I had to deal with being very chronically ill again, which felt like the chronic illness. And I thought, I was aware enough at that point to realize that something was shifting and I had to go through this. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I truly believe you can't really drop into that feeling of self-love until you've gone through that process. You have to go there. You do have to go there. It's you have to touch your shadow side, because that's about full acceptance.
Wholeness.
When you fully accept everything, even the warts and all the icky bits that you don't like with yourself, about yourself.
The neediness, the victim side, the disempowered side.
Yes, absolutely. All your shadowy bits that everything that you don't want to deal with, everything you've pushed aside and gone, over there, I don't want to deal with you, that stays in your energy. That's still an energetic part of you. It's still a part of you. So you have to fully accept that. You know, self-love is about full, complete acceptance of who you are.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the you have a few secrets that you basically, that you say that are very important to be aware of. What are the ones that you would love to share with our viewers, so that they, really understand that your book is coming from a slightly different angle than another book that says, oh, look in the mirror and love yourself, or talk to yourself in a loving way, but actually you bring in the whole universe, the universal energy, consciousness, and programs. You bring that on board.
Yeah. Basically, I just want people to understand the there are several secrets, as Angelique's mentioned, 7 altogether. But I think the fact that energy is vibration. Everything is energy. Everything, you know, the computer screen you're looking at, my glasses, my hair, Angelique's voice, everything is energy, and it's all made from that one consciousness. It's all the same energy, just manifested in different forms of matter. So, you know, and on different frequencies, the frequency of fear and the frequency of love are the complete opposites. And most of the time, most of us are living in the fear mode because our subconscious has been programmed to fear.
Survival.
Sorry?
To want survival and to look for danger.
Yes, because that's the old, you know, that's that old fight or flight monkey brain, that lizard brain, some people call it, that's working in the background. It's still there, you know, it's in our DNA. It's just how we operate. And so, you know, it's like, for instance, where I talk about when we have, and this fear runs back in our DNA for 6 generations. So, for instance, the analogy I like to give is, you know, most people are afraid of spiders, but like, have you ever thought about why? You know, because rationally we realize spiders are only this big, or some of them are very big, but you know, most people's house spiders are only tiny. And you know, you see people completely freak out over a spider, when rationally they know it's not normal, but they feel afraid.
And it's so interesting because I know, like, because I know quite a lot of people who do all of the NLP stuff. They have phobia cures. You can cure fear of spiders and big boa constrictors and I don't know what type of fear. You could do very, like, in one session sometimes, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so it is about programming. So how does it work with unprogramming ourselves from self-hatred to programming ourselves to self-love? Is it that easy? Could we do it in one session?
Oh no, we definitely can't do it in one session.
Why not? No, I just really want to know why not.
because as with anything, yes, people will sell quick fixes, but as we know, quick fixes don't work. It's like, you know, I went on a diet for 6 weeks and I lost 3 stone, and then, like, you know, 8 months later they gained 5 back. Quick fixes don't work. And as I even say to my clients, you know, I share with them, you know, the little breakdowns that happen these days. You know, it's like, nobody's perfect. I'd like to wipe perfect out of the dictionary, actually, because the only thing that's perfect is the universe. Nobody is perfect. I like to call myself a work in progress, because I love myself so much more than I loved myself even 6 months ago. Do you know what I mean? It is a complete work in progress. And like life's journey, the more you do things consistently, the more consistent days I have when I'm just like walking around in joy and happiness. That's not to say bad things don't happen. They do, but I'm more aware of the reason why they are happening. Oh, there must be something in my vibration that's causing this. I then look for the cause and go, oh, right, okay, yes, universe, thank you for the lesson. Let's see what happens now. Getting excited and knowing there's a breakthrough on the other end.
So, and the people that don't believe in this, basically that breakdowns are caused by our own vibration or the universe, how would you explain it to them without using energy and the cause of our actually ourselves being at cause? Is there a way that you could actually explain it to them that would make sense to them? Because this is such a pivotal, critical, which is like the foundation of your book. But if you had to talk to somebody who was super skeptical, who didn't understand vibration, who didn't want to understand vibration, how would you explain this to them?
I would ask them what they feel, and more than likely they wouldn't be able to tell me, because I have this with clients, you know, at the start as well, like, what are you actually feeling? And you know, getting them to close their eyes and breathe and scan their body. Most people don't know because they've numbed themselves to feeling. It's like, feelings are here for a reason. even the bad ones. We're supposed to feel them for a reason. So yeah, I would ask them how they feel. And then once they realize, I've numbed myself, then you can start talking to the brain.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are some of the things that you've seen that work around actually really cultivating self-love? I mean, there's so many books out there, so many programs, so many retreats and workshops. The one thing that I want to stress, though, is that a lot of people are sometimes confusing self-love with self-care, which is more like a luxurious pampering thing.
Yes.
Robert Hope very often says that, like, self-love is not, it's not just like going to the spa, or Dr. Joe says it as well, it's not just like being nice to yourself. It's actually something so much more profound, and
it's much more profound. And don't get me wrong, self-care is fantastic, because we do have to look after ourselves for sure, but self-love is more profound. Like I said, it's more than a concept we have in our head. It is a deep feeling of trust in your own heart, and it's a shift that took me almost 52 years to get to. It is very profound. But like one of my clients recently, when she first came to me about 4 months ago, she told me in our first session that she had this little guy on her shoulder who was always like criticizing. And with the practices that I've given her over the past 4 months, I asked her a couple of weeks ago, how's that little guy? And she was like, oh, I haven't heard from him actually. And I realized, wow, that was a big shift that she's had. And she, she can't even explain it. It's deeply profound, but it is when you drop into the feeling. It's not just the knowing, it's the feeling. But that comes with consistent work. It's got to be consistent, because just like every day, we have the consistent fear. We're being bombarded by the consistent fear on the news, on TV, whatever. We have to consistently give the love. So, mirror work, for instance, when you first start doing it, even if you don't believe it, you have to keep doing it until there comes a point where you're happy at the person you see in the mirror, and you're happy with what you're telling yourself. That's a huge one.
Yeah. When do people know they have actually reached a big breakthrough from self-hatred into what I would call the other, if you have a scale, right? Imagine that at one point you have a lot of stones in the self-hatred part of the scale. So it's completely you have to put a lot of stones in the self-love scale. When would you say do you get a balance, or does it tip into the self-love, more self-love than self-sabotage or self-hatred part of our the way that we show up?
Yeah. I'd say it's it's happened the morning that you wake up and you're excited about being alive.
Yeah.
Instead of waking up and turning over and putting the alarm back on. When you wake up, or you wake up before the alarm, that's a big one. I always wake up before the alarm these days. You wake up and you go, right, it's another day to be alive. How exciting.
So would you say that people that wake up in fear, wake up in dread, wake up in resistance, that actually that is not about resisting life or about what's happening in their life, but they
just don't love themselves enough.
Sorry?
They just haven't got to the point where they love themselves enough. Exactly.
But the way that I would like to elaborate on the way that you explain self-love is when you actually wake up and you feel dread, it is because you haven't gone deep enough to understand that there is more to you than your depression, there's more to you than your sadness, there's more to you than your resistance to life.
There's more to you than your pain, than your illness. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's more. So basically, whatever you're going through is a huge opportunity for you to go deeper, so that you actually mine the gold in that cave that you don't want to go into. And when you mine the gold, you will find the thing that will break you, that will make you free again to enjoy it. Even though things might not go the way that you want to, you're gonna gain so much wisdom, and it's going to be so much more than the love of your life, asking him to marry you, or the dream job, or the dream book. It's actually really nothing to do with any of those external things. They're just like a byproduct of the joy that you start feeling in life, despite the challenges, right?
Exactly.
Despite you not having created that dream, New York Times bestseller, or being interviewed on TV or whatever.
Exactly. And the thing is, once you start feeling into it with all the acceptance of yourself, embracing your shadow side with love, life just becomes a lot easier. You don't have, there's not that constant sort of resistance and fighting against stuff. You don't have to fight anymore, because it's like, there's no point. There really is no point. You don't feel the need to fight against anything, because everything is perfect as it is, and you're happy as you are. And when you're happy as you are, other people can feel that vibration, even if they're not aware of it. Other people can feel it. So, for instance, say people are caught up with having friends that gossip all the time, or like have lots of drama. I knew something big time shifted in me, because I know somebody that still has loads of drama going on in their life, but they don't bring it to me anymore. So it's absolutely fantastic. So I get to enjoy them as a person without all their stuff that used to like really stress me out. So things like that, little gifts, and you see every day as a gift, because every day is a gift. We're here for a reason. We're not here by accident. We're alive at this time now for a reason, and it's a gift. Would you say
that our breakdowns have a purpose? They're there for a reason too.
Yes, they're there to help us grow. We wouldn't grow otherwise. If we weren't challenged, there would be no room to grow. And as the universe is an ever-expanding, growing consciousness, we are an ever-expanding, growing consciousness, and we only thrive when we grow. That's a problem that many people have, because with the structure, as you go to school, you're lucky if you go to university and then you get a job, and then most people start developing themselves. Most people stop their education there. Yes, but it's about expanding your education. It's about movement. That's why exercise feels so good, because it's about movement. The universe is a constantly expanding thing, and if we don't expand ourselves, again, that is a form of self-sabotage. If we're not expanding ourselves, then we're not going to get there.
So what are the types of tools that your book talks about, in terms of people getting more in touch with their own vibration and maybe changing it, and how they get out of the way? Because getting out of your way is a whole chapter in your book, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because that's difficult. Self-sabotage is a huge one, because people use all sorts of ways to self-sabotage, to distract themselves from how they're feeling, because they don't want to feel the thing. Because again, we're taught that feeling bad is a bad thing. But it's not. It's the universe trying to show you something, trying to get you to see the breakdown. But what else? Sorry, what was the question again? I got distracted.
So what are some of the tools that you have in your book that make you feel more in contact with their vibration, and how to basically master your vibration? Because you're also teaching people about the emotional scales of vibration, right? Or emotions. Like, you go from, I believe, despair and, whatever, depression, to joy and optimism and acceptance or peace. So you're using that scale. Yeah.
Well, just taking 5 minutes out for yourself, just 5 minutes, sit down in a chair, put your feet on the ground, put your hand on the belly, and just breathe from your diaphragm, like deep breaths in from the belly through your diaphragm. Most people just don't sit still to see how they're feeling. Running around, being busy all day, looking after other people, doing tasks for other people, doing things, just being busy, it means you're not looking after yourself. And so, it doesn't matter how many nail treatments you get done or how many days you spend at the spa. If you're there on the phone all the time being constantly pinged, you're not taking time out for yourself. If you're going to bed with your iPhone and like on Facebook, you're not taking time out for yourself. So even just sitting down for 5 minutes, breathing deeply into your diaphragm, and then scanning your body to check what it is in your body you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Even that can be enough to, I've got goosebumps. Even that can be enough to just check in with you, because you're the most important person to you.
So let's say that somebody has practiced themselves into the identity of, let's say, anger, right? Anger is a very empowering addiction, because, when I trained with Tony Robbins, he said the crazy eight, one scale of it is anger. The other one is the opposite, which is more like depression. But anger feels very empowering. So a lot of people like to use anger to actually basically get themselves motivated, etc. So how would you teach somebody who was basically identifying with being an angry person, and to protect themselves from a lot of like the lower vibration, which is like, I feel victimized, I feel sad, that are all under the anger? How do you teach a person like that to basically understand that there is a choice and that they can actually change their vibration to create less situations where they can justify being angry?
Yeah, well, having been a previously very angry person, when I was 100 pounds heavier, I was an extremely angry person. I didn't realize it at the time. I just like, the world's against me, blah, blah, blah. And I was angry at the world because I thought the world was treating me badly. And then I came to realize that anger was all about me. It was me. I was angry at myself. When somebody has a lot of anger issues, it's not the it's the outside that they're programmed to think that is causing the problem, so that they can blame and be angry, but they're actually angry at themselves. And that could be because of anything, probably something that happened through childhood, but that can be absolutely anything. And so we peel the layers away we peel those layers away through EFT, but it's like peeling an onion. Once you think, oh yes, I'm angry about this because they did this, and then you peel a couple of layers, or through doing the work. Do you know Byron Katie's work?
Yes, I know Byron Katie.
Yeah, when you peel away a couple of layers, you realize that they were angry because, the dog ate their toy back when they were 3. It's always about self-anger.
Yeah. And then basically, how do they turn it around? Because being stuck at anger with self is also not great.
No, absolutely. But you can turn around any feeling once you make the choice. Yeah. You make the choice, and then we get into the feeling of it. And that takes practice. That takes consistent practice. You can't just do something like that overnight. Yeah. It would be easier if we could. but yeah, it takes practice, but with that consistent practice, you raise your vibration gradually until you get to a point where, like I said, when you have the breakdowns, you realize that that's what they are, and then you look for excitement for the breakthroughs.
I actually really like the fact that you say when you wake up and you want to jump out of bed excited, or you actually even wake up before the alarm, because a lot of people, like even I, don't really have that. Like, we don't sleep enough, or I don't definitely have.
Yes, well, that's part of the self-care practice.
and not only that, I sometimes, we have all these to-do lists that we actually resist having, or we basically haven't found the meaning in the to-do list or the work that we chose to do, because nobody's forcing us to do these things.
Exactly.
And of course, sometimes people are finding themselves in situations where they do feel the victim of their environment, where they feel that, I have this role as a mother or a father, or I'm born in this family, or I'm living in this country as a woman, or what, or a gay man, or whatever, and that leaves me like this. That leaves me not being able to express all these things in ourselves. What would you say to these people that actually, you know, really feel that they're not being celebrated?
Mm-hmm.
They have to maybe, you know, they have to almost lose themselves in the collective
Stuff.
dumbs down, or the
Yeah.
collective like standards of you have to be heterosexual and you have to be
Yeah.
successfully married and not divorced, blah blah blah. You
Yeah.
have to be size 10 or whatever. What would you say to these people in terms of, you know, just as a you know, just as something that would help them maybe change their mind?
Okay. I'd say that for a very long time, when I didn't love myself, I had a problem with my hair. I straighten it and put all sorts of hideous chemicals on my brain to make it this thing that I thought it was supposed to be, because my hair didn't look like it did in the adverts. Hated my hair, hated my skin color, hated myself. I hated everything about myself. But I knew that there was just something in me. I didn't understand what it was. I didn't understand it. That was my soul at the time, trying to wake up my intuition, trying to guide me. I didn't understand that at the time. But there was something that made me keep going and keep pushing. And basically it's about finding ourselves. We are here to find ourselves. We can get lost in all the stuff because there is so much noise out there to make us lost, to keep us in our heads. But I believe it's our duty as human beings to see what it is, see what our potential is, see what it is we can do, because we're the only ones having this experience. You know, in the past 5 years, I was homeless. I had come out of the relationship that I thought was the love of my life. You know, bad things happen all the time, but those breakdowns are there to guide us to a breakthrough. Always. It's that vibration thing. There's always an up and there's always a down. So we have that choice to go, okay, I'm making a choice now to look at it this way. Or you can stay in the place where you are, but it's not that fun. So why not look for the other choice? There's always another choice.
Yeah. So I've been studying with Dr. Joe for a long time, and he has a teleclass that you can subscribe to. And one of the most important teleclasses came at a very pivotal time, I think 2 years ago. And the topic was when a door closes, another door opens.
Yes.
And he was talking about all these, so, you know, basically very conscious people that study with him that are always manifesting great things. And that as soon as they started, you know, visualizing and affirming and living in new energy vibration to attract new things into their lives, they lost their jobs, or their relationship broke down, or basically they were treated unfairly at work, and these people would like then write him letters and say, Dr. Cho, what's going on? You know, like, why is this happening? I'm creating all of this.
Yeah.
Exactly the opposite is going on. And so he gave the answer, which was like, I had to listen to this recording so many times because I had to learn the lesson of what are breakdowns. Basically, he said, sometimes when you want to create something so new, your old has to fall away.
Yes.
The old is keeping you basically trapped in something that isn't you anymore. So that could be old jobs, old relationships, old people that bring out certain aspects of you that are not serving you for the new choice that you have made. And transitioning into that new you requires that sometimes these so-called painful breakdowns or losses will occur, but you have to keep faith that when you keep on creating and you keep on becoming a new person, meaning you show up in a different way, in a new state of consciousness, in a new state of being, you will attract those new situations, events, and people into your life. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to share this, that this was my huge understanding of breakdown, because if you do not understand it, then you actually think you're doing something wrong, and you think all of this bullshit, all of this law of attraction stuff doesn't work.
It's bullshit. Exactly. That's why a lot of people thought, you see, oh, the law of attraction doesn't work for me. No, it is actually working, because it's a universal law. It's always working. But yeah, you have to see outside the fact that, yeah, if you are able,
you have to get lost. People have to get lost, so you have to get lost before you can find yourself again. Yeah.
Absolutely. I was introduced to this stuff about 20 years ago, and I got lost for a good 12, 13 years. I was introduced to it. I kind of went, oh, I don't understand it. Don't get this. I think these people are weird. I'm just going to put this over here and go off and do my own thing. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing, even though I didn't. And I was hating myself. But no, I knew what. That was the angry arrogance coming out. I know what I'm doing. I don't need this.
Exactly.
And got lost for about 13 years until I read Abraham Hicks, actually. It was like, oh, hold on. I know this. I had that feeling in my body that I knew it. I didn't know it in my head. And that's when everything switched. I went, oh, this is different.
What was it that Abraham taught you? Because when I started understanding Abraham, first I had to listen to the audios. Like, I bought all of the books, put it all on, I think, an iPod. And I was listening to it day in, day out, like understanding all the processes, understanding how they were communicating first with Seth, and then went to this psychic woman. And like, I knew everything about Abraham. Like, I was obsessed with him. But it wasn't like, but the way that Abraham completely changed my life was that basically Abraham taught me, just start getting happy now.
Yeah.
Because you're the one that's not showing up in the vortex. Your vortex is already here. You're not showing up in the vortex.
Yes.
Don't try to analyze why you're not in the vortex. Basically, show up in the vortex. Just rejoice. And I definitely have seen that, definitely a lot of my relationships started shifting, because before that I would work, with this girlfriends or friends, would talk for hours about why things were wrong or why certain people didn't deserve to be in my life. We basically were dwelling in the
yes. Yes.
And with Abraham, that completely stopped.
Yeah, exactly. And because you were dwelling on it and, wallowing in it, you kept attracting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a law of attraction at work. You were just on a lower vibration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what it was, what Abraham said, it was like a throwaway sentence. It was something like, you are a spiritual being. You're human having a spiritual experience. And I went, oh. And I felt that in my body. I just felt it. And that was because I had been such an analytical, logical person. It was like, oh, hold on. I don't know that in my head. I actually know it as a feeling. And so that led me on to all sorts of things. And then realizing, when I was learning about the vortex and everything, realizing that when I was younger, unconsciously, but when I was younger, I always knew that if I put my mind to something, that it would happen, or that I could do it. And it was like, oh, I always used to do that when I was younger. If I wanted something or wanted to do something, I would always do it, and it would always work. And I thought, oh, hold on. I had that when I was younger. Why don't I have that now? And it was because I let all the years of feeling not good enough and all the blah, 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 and the comfort eating and the self-abuse and the drinking and everything get in the way. But I found that again. So, yay.
I want to add something. So this not feeling good enough is quite epidemic, I think. I actually listened to Marisa Peer, I think 2 nights ago, when she was talking at Awesomeness Fest from Mind Valley. She was voted, I think, the best speaker at that event. And basically, it was so fascinating that everything she did was just about teaching people that you are enough. And just that one thing. So basically, Tony Robbins in Strategic Intervention Coaching with Chloe Madonnas, he teaches that there's only 2 fears. They're quite universal. And one of them is I'm not good enough. And the other one is, if I do this, I might fail, and then I will turn out not to be good enough. So I might not do it. So basically, it's all about us finding ways to not feel good enough. So how can people start with feeling good enough? What
They
are
can start by,
the in your experience?
yeah, they can start by learning how to trust that what they feel is completely fine. They're feeling it for a reason. Whether that's a bad feeling or a good feeling, they're feeling it for a reason. What they feel, what they want, just learning to trust in themselves. But that trust comes with self-love. No, the trust comes before the self-love, because it's part of the process. It's part of fully accepting yourself. But learning how to trust yourself. Most people don't trust themselves because they're conditioned to look outside for confirmation that what they are, or what they're dressed like, or who they're with is okay. When if you meet somebody and there's an amazing attraction between the two of you, trust what you feel, rather than worrying about what your friends think about this person. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's developing that trust. People, it's like people have no problem showing love to others, the people that they love, or trusting others, but then they don't trust themselves. They wouldn't treat their best friend like they treat themselves. Mm-hmm. That's a big one. So if you should start treating yourself like you treat your best friend.
Kyle Cease, I think, in one of the last shows that he put on YouTube or Facebook, he was basically coaching a guy, doing an intervention on a guy, and he was basically saying to the guy, would you, like the things that you say to yourself, would you say that to a little kid, like in the park? Like, would you say, yeah, you're not good enough. Yeah, don't believe in yourself. Yeah, you're obviously just not good enough. And it was just so much sense that, the way that, the worst things we hear are actually the way that we consent to the inner enemy, the inner saboteur.
Exactly. That inner saboteur is constantly going on. 80,000 thoughts a day in your subconscious. And like I said, at least 70% of them are negative self-talk. And so we don't even realize that we're talking badly to ourselves most of the time. We don't even realize it. Yeah. So that's why other people are needed to help you think about, or at least, help you coax that out of yourself. Because if you can't see it, then it's just going to keep going. It's just going to keep running.
Yeah. So, but I just want to ask a question, because I think this is one of the most difficult things to understand, which is, when do you know you're listening to the voice of your inner saboteur, inner critic, and when do you know it's like higher guided intuition from your bigger self, or your the larger aspect of yourself, or the infinite self, whatever we want to call it?
Yeah. Okay. If that inner voice feels good, then it's about your higher self, your intuition, whatever. If that inner talk doesn't feel so good, that's your inner critic going, no. You should be doing this, shoulda, coulda, woulda, blah, blah, blah.
But yeah, what if this inner voice is actually leading you to, let's say, addictive behavior? Like
then it's definitely your negative self-talk.
So we do have to understand what addictions are that are.
Yeah, addictions are just a form of self-abuse.
Yeah,
addictions are just a form of self-abuse to numb the pain, whatever kind of pain it is. It could be physical pain, it could be emotional pain, it could be mental pain. But yeah, addictions are just tools to numb the pain.
Yeah. And I just want to say that the way that I use addictions is the way that Dr. Joe Dispenza and Gary Zukav define addictions. And literally, when I read the book of Gary Zukav, I think it's called The Seed of the Soul. I have several of his books. I actually didn't understand the book, because I didn't understand that my anger was an addiction, or that my fear was an addiction. So I thought, well, I definitely am not. I'm not like smoking. I'm not like obese. So hey, I'm not addicted. But actually, he was mentioning anger, fear, worry. Those are addictions. So basically, neurochemically, there are complete addictions, and that's why Dr. Joe has a, he has a more biological explanation of what addictions are. And so if you start to understand that, to differentiate from the fear of voice, the voice of fear, and the voice of your inner critic, and that, there could be a lot of things that sound good, but they're actually, they then lead to addictions, that then you are definitely also not stepping into your breakthrough, because you're actually just being stuck in some kind of repetitive cycle, as long as you're numbing anything with some kind of, some kind of addiction. Yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah. So as a last question, Theresa, is there something that I didn't ask you that I should have asked that might help somebody that's now listening to this interview today?
Look, it's self-love. Breaking down and breaking through to self-love is huge. What I could say is that if anybody would like to continue the chat, I'm completely available for that. You can find me on my Self-Love Revolution page, Breakdowns to Breakthrough page, Self-Love Revolution group. I'm always here to keep up the conversation, because I truly believe that the more people that love themselves, the nicer it will be for everybody to live on this planet. So that's my whole thing. Continue the conversation out here.
We could talk about this topic for days.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, is this what I do now? Is this what I talk about? How fun is this? But I love making people aware and making people think and making people feel the love in themselves. It's fantastic when people stop feeling so horrible about themselves. It's amazing, because like I said, I hated myself for decades and never ever foresaw that this is what I would be teaching now. And it's so much fun to help people get that for themselves.
I think in essence, what I've learned from this conversation is basically just something that just dropped in my mind, which is, why is self-love so important? Self-love is important because it really connects us to who we really are.
Yes.
So all the things that you have stacked against yourself, which are about your self-sabotage, or the failures, or the failed projects, businesses, relationships, or failed attempts to basically lose weight, or whatever it is, they say nothing about your potential. They say nothing about your truth or your wholeness, because we're so multifaceted that if we can even love ourselves, because these things are showing up in our lives, or despite the fact that these things are showing up in our lives, we actually go to a much deeper awareness of our true nature. And then when we can accept these so-called failures and these breakdowns in our lives as something that are there to strengthen us, and they actually work for us, that is when we actually claim and own more noble aspects of our being. And when we get in that space, then we are invincible, and we have so much more self-compassion and so much more compassion for the world, and we can actually then show up in a way where we are not wanting the world to owe us, to give us something, because we know that everything we need is coming from our true, deeper awareness of who we are.
Yes, absolutely. I'd even add there, the more we drop into self-love and the more we know ourselves, the easier it is. So easy. You just breathe, and basically you are downloaded with stuff, just like a songwriter, you in the zone, an athlete is in the zone and they do these amazing things. A songwriter is in the zone and writes a beautiful piece of music. You just feel in the zone with life. Absolutely. And the crazy opportunities and fun things happen, and you're like, all right, okay, I must be doing something good, because we're not meant to be here to be sick and worried and fearful of it. That's not what life's about. That's not what life's about.
Life offers us that so that we can make intelligent choices, and at one point we are forced to acknowledge that there is a cause and effect to, because when I look back, and I can definitely see that now in the mastermind that I'm in and with my coach right now, basically the people that are most loving and the people that can love the world quite unconditionally, they manifest the most things. They attract them what they want because they give so much of themselves, and they are not there like that poem you sometimes see on Facebook. The moon never asked the sun, what did you give to me? Or the flower, the flower didn't ask the sky, why? What did you give to me? They just give because they know that their cup overrun it. Their cup is full because that's the true nature. And then when they give without actually needing anything back, that is when the universe mirrors to you, hey, you got it. You know what it's like. You know who you are. And we are going to respond because we are a copy machine. The universe is a copy machine. The universe just copies your fullness or your true understanding of who you are in everything that you can then start to receive. Because I also think sometimes people that don't love themselves, as you pointed out in your book, they don't feel worthy to receive. So they're
absolutely
they're not going to receive it. Yeah,
exactly. Receiving is a big part of opening up the heart chakra. We didn't get into the chakras in this, but receiving and the heart chakra are very connected. Very connected.
Yeah.
Most people have closed heart chakras, which is why they don't love themselves. That's another topic. That's another topic.
As you said when we were just talking before the interview, a lot of people are living in the lower chakras, and we just have a lot of work to do in the lower chakras. Number 1, 2, and 3 mainly, and number 4 is of course the big bridge.
4 is a big one as well, believe me.
Yeah, well, 1, 2, and 3 are the ones that we always start with. How can people get hold of your book? Can we?
So we put we can put it in the link. At the end. But basically it's HTTPS, what are those 2 dots, / www.publishizer, that's publishizer.com, and / breakdowns to breakthroughs. But we'll put the link in the box after this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Theresa, for making your time and actually really devoting your time to write a book about a very important topic and for doing the work. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Angelique. Lovely to see
you. Thank you. Bye. Bye, everybody.
You're probably going to bed now, aren't you?
No, I actually, I committed to being in a call at 3 a.m. my time. But a group of people, a group of brilliant men, conscious men and women that are doing the work to reclaim their inner throne. And so what I've seen as a woman working with a lot of women is that a lot of women don't understand men, and that causes a humongous amount of suffering. And I definitely, was one of those women that caused a lot of suffering because I didn't understand men. I just thought they were women. Of course, they're not. And now I was invited.
The gay ones can slightly be, but
so now that I'm invited to be part of the circle, I feel that it would be great to just connect with those people, with that group, and to understand what they're doing and to be part of it. I feel very honored. So I'm just gonna stay away.
Fabulous. Look after yourself while you're doing that, staying away. And you mentioned Awesome Fest earlier. By any chance, are you going to A-Fest Ibiza?
To what, Ibiza? Something Ibiza?
A-Fest, Awesomeness Fest.
Is it in Ibiza this year?
It's in Ibiza in May, yeah.
Okay, actually I'm in Spain in May.
Oh, right. I'm going. I was invited. Yes.
Oh, wow.
The subject is love.
Oh, I might show up, but if my, I trust my body so much. This is one of the things that you were talking about. If I have to be somewhere, my body will just basically drag me.
Tell you that.
I will suddenly feel this urge, like I will have this knowing that I have to go there. This is how I always teach basically I always choose my teachers. And I choose my coaches, I choose the hotels with this feeling, because when you are in the right vibration, in the right relationship to source, it will tell you where you have to be.
You just know. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no logic to it as well. Yeah. So
yeah. Oh yeah, that's a big, when you've been trained here and you're quite good at it, you're very intelligent, it's really difficult to go no, feel.
wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for warning me about Evisa. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you all for your loves, your hearts, and your comments. And if there's any comments you would like to add, just put it down in the comments and we'll keep on responding to it. Lots of love, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.